Although police have made an arrest, the investigation is ongoing, and so I'm limited in what I can share about it. On Saturday, our office filed charges against Mr. Boelter for second-degree murder and attempted murder, allowing us to obtain a nationwide arrest warrant, which would allow law enforcement across the country to arrest him. These are the highest charges we can file by complaint, and it needed to be done quickly to get the warrant out. Mr. Boelter was taken into state custody, and our office intends to pursue first-degree murder charges against Mr. Boelter. He would make an appearance, a first appearance in state court here at 1:30. We have been told. What I can assure our community is that we have filed charges. As you know, we intend to seek first-degree murder charges here. The penalty for that would be life without parole. So we intend to go forward on this case because we are accountable to protect our community and hold people who commit crimes in this county accountable.
As we pursue justice and to help with whatever support.
It was a relatively short period of time because they were moving in and he was cooperative. So it wasn't a prolonged negotiation with him. It was more that they converged on him. And because of the extremely good coordination and what they're doing, I believe he's certainly in a position where he just had to give up because he knew he was surrounded by who was there.
Late last night, the U.S. Attorney's Office filed a complaint bringing an array of federal charges against Vance Boelter for his horrific attack on our state and our elected representatives. Political assassinations are rare. They strike at the very core of our democracy. But the details of Boelter's crime are even worse. They are truly chilling. It is no exaggeration to say that his crimes are the stuff of nightmares. Boelter stalked his victims like prey. He went to their homes, held them out as a police officer, and shot them in cold blood.
Reason to believe that there was plans to commit additional violence at, say, the protest. Your reaction?
Look, I mean, this was a political assassination, which is not a word we use very often in the United States, let alone here in Minnesota. It's a chilling attack on our democracy, on our way of life. It's only the most recent example of violent political extremism in this country, and that's a trend that's been increasing in recent years, and that's unfortunate. And I hope it's a wake-up call to everyone that people can disagree with you without being evil or needing to be killed or hurt. Unfortunately, the Hoffmans survived, although they remain hospitalized. I've seen the footage from that camera, and it is chilling. Boelter knocked on Senator Hoffman's front door and repeatedly shouted, "This is the police, open the door." Senator Hoffman and his wife, Yvette, came to the door. When they opened the door, Boelter shined the flashlight in their faces and said there had been a shooting reported in the house. Boelter asked if they had any weapons. When Boelter lowered his flashlight, which he had shined in their face, they realized that he was not a police officer. They shouted out, "You're not a cop. You're not a police officer." Boelter then announced, "This is a robbery," and forced himself into their home. When Senator Hoffman attempted to push Boelter out and stop him from entering his home, Boelter shot him repeatedly. Boelter then shot Miss Hoffman. Boelter then traveled to the home of a Minnesota state senator who lived in New Hope. At about 2:36 a.m. on Friday night, after learning of the shooting of Senator Hoffman, New Hope police dispatched an officer to conduct a wellness check on the state senator who lived in New Hope. When the New Hope officer arrived at the scene, she saw Boelter's black SUV parked down the block with the lights on. The New Hope police officer believed that Boelter was a police officer who had been dispatched to the scene to check on the status of the state senator. The New Hope police officer pulled up next to Boelter in his car, rolled down her window, and attempted to speak with him. Boelter did not respond. According to the officer, he just sat there and stared straight ahead.
I wonder if you have any details into that. And familiar to law enforcement, even though he didn't appear to have any kind of serious criminal record in the state.
Officers recovered Boelter's 9mm Beretta, along with the body armor and the mask, behind the home along his path of flight when he fled on foot. They later searched Boelter's car, where they found 5 more firearms, including assault-style rifles and a large quantity of ammunition. Boelter also had in his car notebooks containing a list of more than 45 Minnesota state and federal elected officials, including Representative Hortman. Wearing a tactical vest and body armor, carrying a handgun and a flashlight, and wearing that. Counts 3 and 4 charge Boelter with the murder of Melissa and of the Hortmans using a firearm in violation of 18 U.S.C. 924J. And these are punishable by a term of life imprisonment or even death. And counts 5 and 6 charge him with shooting the Hortmans and the Hoffmans using a firearm, and both of those counts also carry a maximum sentence of life in prison.
Is that true, and is the wife being investigated?
Go ahead. Will we see the death penalty? It's too early to tell. That is one of the options for several of the charges, though. Senator Hoffman and his wife, Yvette, came to the door. When they opened the door, well, it's pretty clear from the evidence that he's been planning these attacks for quite some time. There's voluminous writings, as you've seen in the reporting, that were found both in his car and his house about his planning, lists of names and individuals. In terms of the why, it's unclear. We're at the St. Paul Federal Courthouse. Beyond that, I'll defer to the marshals on where he'll be held. With respect to the potential motive, let me say this. There's been a lot of press coverage and speculation and discussion of a manifesto. I've seen nothing like a Unabomber-style manifesto in his writings. He had many, many notebooks full of plans, lists of names, surveillance, efforts that he took to surveil and locate the home addresses and family members' relationships with these elected officials. I've seen nothing like a Unabomber-style manifesto in his writings. He had many, many notebooks full of plans, lists of names, surveillance, efforts that he took to surveil and locate the home addresses and family members' relationships with these elected officials. But I have not seen anything involving some sort of political screed or manifesto that would clearly identify what motivated him. He left and proceeded to Brooklyn Park and carried out the next shooting, so got lost in the cab.